Season Reviews. I'm Captain Mal.
And I'm your boy D-Crawler.
And I'm level 2. I'm going to defeat you with random standard punches.
And today we're bringing you our official review for Stranger Things 3. Not Season 3, Stranger Things 3, because that's what they're calling it. So, Stranger Things, we have not really talked about that very much or done a video on the previous seasons, but it's safe to say we both we all really love...
There's 3 of us here.
There's 3 of us. We all,
yes.
Calm down, really love Stranger Things 1 and 2, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, Stranger Things 3, we're all excited for, we're all looking forward to it, and for some reason it's been getting a fair amount of criticism for not being as good as the first 2, specifically the first one. But as always, we'll keep the first part of this spoiler free. We'll just go over initial thoughts. Weapon 2, you think that's wrong? Do you enjoy
I think it's wrong. Here's the deal. For me, the writers, they were big fans of the 80s, and I've listened to interviews with them. I think that they built up where they were big fans of the kind of the group kid movies with the Goonies, the Stand By Me, and all this type of stuff where kids are getting together and adventures and all this kind of stuff. It kind of went back to kind of poltergeist stuff where you got the upside down and creatures inside the walls and scary stuff going on. Had an it vibe too. And so they were hitting on that type of stuff, but for me, it was kind of slow building in the first season, kind of picked up a little more. In season 3, it was fast. There was a lot of stuff going on. I loved it. I loved it for what it was. It had tons of throwbacks to the 80s. It had tons of things, action happening, things happening all the time. That's why I liked it.
Yeah, I absolutely love season 3, and you hit the nail on the head. The first one is very much its own story, and it is a slow build, and it is an adventure of these kids with a lot of horror feel. The second one gets more actiony, and this one hits the ground fucking running.
Oh yeah.
The first episode is kind of just catching up with all the kids, but even watching that, I noticed I was smiling the entire time, and I was having a good time, because what the writers do very well is make you care about all the characters. And it's just a brilliant example is if you make us care about the characters, I don't care if they're just doing day-to-day shit, I'm gonna enjoy watching that.
You've invested.
Exactly. But then when it hits the ground running and actually crazy shit starts happening, it is that much more edge of your seat. Every character I liked infinitely. I thought the action sequences were done great. I thought the humor was on point. There's a couple nitpicks that I might get into later, but as a whole, I was more than happy with it. I actually loved this season. T-Crawler? New to the Stranger Things. You just watched it. You binged it all. What did you think?
I loved it, guys. So the first time I watched it, I tried to do season 1, and this is when it first came out. So what, a couple years ago?
Yeah, a few years ago, yeah.
So, and it didn't catch me. I was like 2.5 episodes, and it didn't really draw me in. So this time around, I was like, you know what? Everybody's watching season 3. I was hoping to get there so I could do a review with these guys. So I'm like, okay, let me watch it again. Start over from the beginning, and
you watched it.
1.5 episodes in, it drew me in so well. I was like, what the hell? And I think it's because I was able to pay more attention to it this time around, maybe. But I watched it, and
you stopped looking at your phone?
And I didn't stop. I didn't stop watching it. I just kept going. Like I binged this. I think I watched the first season in one day. I've never done that with any show on Netflix or Hulu or anything like that. I texted. I was like, man, I finished the first season already, and then I went right into the second one and the third. Man, it was phenomenal. I like it. Like you said, it by the third one, it hits the ground running, and again, they get you to believe to care about the characters, which is very important, and it's awesome in the mixture of all the different types of movies from the 80s and that time that they bring in, plus all the way they wrote this and the way they directed it. It makes you feel like you're living in that time. It really brought things back from my childhood, and I was like, holy crap, this is awesome.
So to hit on that point, I'll say lots of shit, like 80s nostalgia is a thing right now, right?
Yeah.
A lot of movies and TV shows are hitting on it, but this does it almost better than any of them because lots of other shows or movies, you can tell it's a show or a movie set in the 80s. It's made to take place in the 80s, so they dress it like the 80s and the throwbacks in there and all that. There's no other way for me to explain this. This show actually feels like it happened in the 1980s, but just somebody happened to be there with a fucking high-end recording device recording. It legitimately feels like the 80s more than any other show. Even the opening intro, which is a badass intro, straight with the 80s type music and shit like that. everything about this, right? Like
the soundtrack's been a character throughout all three seasons in this. The 80s
so
music,
and every season tonally is a little bit different. So I get it if you. Some detractors might be like, no, season 3 it doesn't kind of play like season 1, but it shouldn't. And the show's evolving and growing. The characters are evolving and growing. They did a time jump because the kids are getting older, but they're getting awesome. And
So, I mean, for me, are we into spoilers or
Let's
go to
spoilers now? Spoiler alerts.
We're going to spoilers if we feel spoilers.
Hey, so before we do that, watch the show. You haven't seen the show? Watch the show. If you like 80s action, if you like the mix of like Spielberg, like child adventure, supernatural horror thriller type things, a little bit of superpowers and government conspiracy sprinkled in, watch the show.
Yes.
All right, now, spoiler alert, go.
So there were so many callbacks in this that I lost track of them.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I mean, you have the... what you feel like those, that genre of the 16 Candles and everything, where they're all in the mall, they're wearing the most 80s of clothes, and they're dancing around and having a great time. And then there was callbacks to Terminator with this Russian spy who's as Terminator-esque as a character can be. There was callbacks to The Shining at the door where they're like doing a kind of here's Johnny type moment. There was
it's a love letter to the 80s.
Yeah, there's the monster, the whole monster thing had a lot of callbacks to a lot of the kind of 80s monsters movies. And as far as 11 having superpowers, she had full superpowers through at least half this movie.
Yeah.
Where she's using full super force on stuff. It was fast paced. There was other times in the other movies where it would kind of drag and get boring. There wasn't anything boring about this.
This is good. And so one thing that maybe a lot of people won't credit as much, the color palette on this was really fun good. Like I loved. So the clothing and all that was totally over the top 80s. But anytime they were in the mall or going to the movie theater, anytime there was neon lighting, it was so just completely overtaking the scene almost, where if you're walking by a neon blue light, the entire scene is neon blue. It really does a great job of just engrossing you into the scene and making you talk about the 80s just flooding into you. I love that. I love the way this show looked visually, specifically anytime there were bright colors on the screen. I thought that was great. The characters, they're all growing. Hopper is fucking awesome. He's one of the coolest characters. I fucking love that guy to death. The 11 with the superpower thing, the scene where the monster is gonna kill fucking Nancy, and she busts the door and fucking goes to this, throws it down. I was cheering. I was like, you fucking mom! She's fucking awesome. I love what they did with Billy. Because the bully from season 2, he's not going to be hanging out with our little group of kids, so how are they going to incorporate him? Being mind controlled and being the zombie fucking monster thing coming at them was great, and it also gave what's his sister's name? Gave her more to do in her arc because she's worried about him. We even got a little bit of character development fucking with him and seeing his backstory when he's going to kill Elle, and Elle's shows him the memory of when he was happy. All that was done wonderfully well. The monster itself, brain controlling everybody and fucking killing them to make itself bigger was done good. One little nitpick though is it did kind of seem like they were trying to find shit for some characters to do. Will, he's basically just there with Spidey sense. He's just he doesn't really do anything. He's just no, but he's always just it's here. Yeah. 3 seconds before the fucking thing crashes in the building, it's they would have figured it the fuck out. It's how about instead of being it's here. Be oh fuck, it's here, run. But so that was good. They do a bit where Elle loses her powers toward the end, which is great because she's really their only weapon against this shit physically. Right. So when she doesn't have the powers anymore, you're oh fuck, what are they gonna do? And one thing that this season did, all the seasons do really well, is different groups of our main characters are together getting different pieces of information as to what the fuck's going on. So it's this group will have something, this group will have something, this group will have something, but they need to all get together to fucking figure it out and stop it. And they did a better job in this season than any other seasons where everyone's finally together. The scene in the mall when fucking Hopper fucking steps on the thing and then it pans to the kids, shows them and they're together, and then that's the end of the second to last episode. You're just it's about to go the fuck down. Yes! It does such a good job of getting you hyped up, because I'm no, they're going to talk, and they're going to know everything, and they're going to fuck this thing. It does a great job of that. It does a great job of just getting you emotionally invested in what the fuck's going on.
I mean, they also, they had the Ruskies in this, so, Russians were a big deal back then, so...
Cold War!
Cold War was a thing. I mean, you guys pretty much said it all. The things that the little things that irritated me were every time they were on the radio and Dustin was on the radio, it was like, this is the code red, over, this is the code red, over. Like, I don't know how many times he yelled into the radio and there was no response and he just keeps yelling and yelling and yelling and yelling. I'm like, okay, dude, like, seriously, like, we get it. It's detrimental that they get a hold of you, like, but, you know, you can only yell so much. I mean, there really is nothing else going to change.
He's a kid, man.
I understand that. That's why I said it's a little nitpicky.
I love.
I mean, I love. You know, it just.
That he did have a girlfriend.
Yeah, you get the teenage. You know, they start to get into girls. You know, and they're like, you see the different how they each differently handle the girls that they like and stuff like that, and then they don't think he has a girlfriend, but he really does, and then you see her, and then she's trying to be all lovey-dovey, he's trying to save the world.
That's fucking hilarious.
He's like, come on, we gotta do this.
These motherfuckers sing the never-ending story, which thanks for getting that song stuck in my head for fucking weeks.
Yes,
I was singing that shit running a fucking train at work. I'm taking notches, like never-ending story. Fucking conductor's looking at me, I'm like, have you seen Stranger Things yet? He's like, no. I'm like, well, you should. Sorry, yeah, you have to know, or you don't know. That was hilarious, Dusty Buns. And the new character that worked at the ice cream store with, what's his face?
Yeah, at the Scoops Ahoy.
Everybody was good. Every character was interesting. I gave a shit about everybody who was on the team.
They do a really good job of running multiple plot lines that are staying together in a cohesive manner. They're all connected, and it doesn't feel weird, or it's just a really good story.
It doesn't feel like anything's trying too hard.
Right.
Yeah. So the big thing also at the end, Hopper dies, you know, because you're in the spoiler section of this. His death was done very well because the letter that he writes to Elle, they hit me in the feels. Like I thought they were just gonna kind of like wash over his death just a little bit. Like I was getting kind of annoyed until she reads the letter, and then it fucking wrecked me. I was in tears. Like I was like, "Fuck, show, well played."
It got me really. I mean, because I have an older daughter who's, you know, she's last year high school. She recently went to go do a campus tour, so, you know, it's just getting close. I mean, after this senior year, she'll probably be gone. So just that letter, I mean, obviously there's different reasons why he's gone or whatever, but it's just like that letter that he's writing to his daughter, and it's like letting him know how much he loves her, what she's going to come across in life and stuff like that. So it just made, I mean, I went home and I hugged my daughter, because she watched it, she's been waiting for me to finish it, and she's like,
all my daughters are grown and gone.
She's like,
I don't have any daughters.
She's like, did you finish it down? I was like, yeah, and I just gave her a big hug, and she started laughing. I said, I cried, and she's like, I know, it was so sad, but yeah, it really gets you.
I wonder if David Harbour is actually dead though, because the stinger at the end, the post-credit scene, when they show a Demogorgon that the Russians have, and they're gonna go feed it a prisoner, and they're like, oh no, not the American. And then they go, and I was just like, is that David Harbour?
It's Harbour, or it could be Papa.
We'll have to wait till next season.
Yeah. I'm excited. Talk about it, but a show like Indian in a way that gets you excited for next season, gets you hyped for the next season. You know what? Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but people who don't like this season, you're wrong. This is this is really good. I was hyped up. I ate this show up in about a day and a half. I wanted more. That's how you know something's good, when it leaves you wanting more.
Yeah.
Welcome to Closing Thoughts.
Good. Watch this stuff, man. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's good.
Yeah, what he said.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the world's greatest news and reviews. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe.
Peace.